Hello, it's Dave Denon. I'm the founder of Decon Technical Services and the Decon BizToCloud strategy. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. There's 4 critical things that you need to know before moving your business to the cloud. I'm going to be talking about some of those things and how they're going to benefit your business. First off, I'm going to tell you about what cloud computing is. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of this new technology. And we're going to talk about the questions that you need to ask your IT pro before he even touches your network to get started for any kind of cloud computing initiative. So, first off, what is cloud computing? Wikipedia defines cloud computing as the use and access of multiple server-based computational resources via a digital network. Yeah, that's great, but what does that mean? The easiest way is not only to understand what cloud computing is, but also to gain insight into why it's gaining popularity. Let's look at the evolution of electricity, for example, to take a comparison to cloud computing. Back in the industrial age, factories had to produce their own electricity. They actually had to set up shop near a river or some stream of water so that they could harness the hydroelectric power to power their factories and everything that they needed electricity for in order to run their business. So not only did they have to be professional at the goods and services that they were placing into the market, but they also had to be professional at providing electricity for their business to even operate. Unfortunately, this put factories into 2 businesses, right? So we have the production of their service and the production of electricity. The concept of electric current being generated in central power plants came along when they realized that it could be outsourced to somebody who could build out solely for the purpose of producing electricity and then providing the electricity at a lower cost to everybody that needed it. So that became a centralized distribution method. In fact, in a very short period of time, it became competitively necessary for factories to take advantage of the lower cost options being offered by public utilities. So what made it possible was a series of investments in scientific breakthroughs. What drove the demand, though, was pure economics. It was just cheaper to get it done with somebody else. Today we're in a similar transformational period. The only difference is that instead of cheap and plentiful electricity, we have cheap and plentiful IT. All businesses that are operating in any fashion are almost all using some form of information technology. Well, over the years of even in our business providing IT services to companies, outsourced IT services, we see the same thing that all businesses need. They all need a repository, they all need access to the internet, they all need some kind of a presentation appliance to bring the desktop experience to them. So the fact that you're already experiencing the benefits of cloud computing in some ways, you probably haven't even realized that there's a lot of things that you're already doing that are cloud computing. For example, Gmail or Hotmail or other free email accounts, you're probably using those in your either personal or business lives. Facebook, you don't have an application running on a server that makes Facebook available to you. It's available on the internet. Salesforce, we use Salesforce in our business for tracking the customer relationships. Zoomerang, SurveyMonkey, and other survey tools. LinkedIn, Twitter, all things Google, AdWords, Maps, etc. All those things that you use on a regular basis, probably on your mobile device for the most part, are all computing power not in front of you. So I'm using my phone, for example, to bring the experience to me, but the actual computing power to make that experience possible is all happening off-site and being delivered to us across the internet. What about Office 365 and Google Apps? Well, Office 365 is kind of new. It's replacing an old service that Microsoft was providing, but in a nutshell, Office 365 is offering file storage, the complete Office suite, which is Excel, Word, Outlook, PowerPoint, and all the back-end email and exchange services for a very, very low amount of money. But Microsoft wants to own that part of the business, and they're offering it at an extremely small, low margin. Frankly, it's even difficult for anybody to profit on it except for Microsoft. Google Apps is just a way that all the same thing, file storage, email backend, all handled, and then you access it via whatever portal device you have. I have a Samsung Chromebook. I also have a MacBook Air. These are the different ways that I access Google Apps that we use for our own company. The pros and cons of moving to the cloud. There's reasons that you don't want to go to the cloud. Some business profiles don't fit the cloud model, and actually, frankly, the total cloud is not for everybody, but there are small point solutions that could work for you. So, for example, some of the pros of cloud computing could be lowered operating costs for IT. We talked about some of the things you're already using for cloud, like Facebook, part of your social media initiatives for your company. Your web banking is also part of that. You didn't buy software or buy licenses or maintain hardware in order to provide those services to your business. So you lower your costs by doing that. The ability to access your desktop and applications from anywhere, anytime on any device. So we talked about having different devices that we can use as a portal to get to our information. And of course, my favorite is the disaster recovery and business continuity services that are inherent to the cloud. The server in your office is extremely vulnerable to a number of threats, including viruses, trojans, malware, things of that nature. And you take reasonable precaution to protect that data. You have firewalls in place and security policies on the disk to make sure that all happens. You can move all that out into the cloud and not ever have to worry about your backup and disaster plan again, because it happens all in the background without any intervention on your part. We take care of all the management and make sure that they're tested and working and functioning properly. Also, like the public utility, cloud platforms are far more robust and secure than your average business network. So since it is an arena where you're outsourcing to professionals who do this on a regular basis, the people most qualified to manage that infrastructure. Cloud computing is also faster and cheaper and easier to set up new employees. In a total cloud integration solution, all we have to do is turn on one more user. Their desktop is already prepared. All we do is sit in front of their portal device. They access their cloud desktop, and they can do it from their phone if they have the permission, of course, and policies allow. You can also use services without having to own the service. So more specifically, you don't have the responsibility of having to install, update, and maintain infrastructure. So if you want to run a lean business, you outsource everything that you can so that all you get is the benefit of the services without requiring the infrastructure in order to provide the services in the first place. Cloud computing is also greener. It's a technology that will save power, and it will help reduce your electricity bill. For small companies, not so much a big deal, but if you're a larger company, probably you have 75 or maybe 200 desktops in your organization. You probably have a bank of 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 servers that require power and cooling in order for them to operate properly. We can reduce or eliminate a lot of those costs so that you will save that money. Now, some of the cons of cloud computing would be, let's say the internet goes down. Well, we like to address that from the perspective of what if your disk failed in your server. We always take a precaution to make sure that there's more than one disk handling your data. If a power supply fails in the server, we always make sure that there's a second power supply in the server to make sure that we can still run things and get things ordered to replace the failed parts and not bring the services of that server offline. We approach internet connectivity the same way. So we might have two providers. We might have provider A bringing in a cable, and provider B bringing in a copper, and maybe provider C bringing in over the air. So there could be different ways of creating the redundancy so that I have multiple points of connection to get to that cloud experience. Data security. Many people feel very uncomfortable about cloud, and it's probably the number one issue that people have with the cloud. But go back to where the efficiency lies with the cloud. You're putting the responsibility of the people to maintain the architecture with the people most responsible to maintain the architecture are the ones most qualified to do it. right? So we have an environment where the security is built in from the very ground up. We can do it efficiently, we can do it effectively, and we can do it for lots of different companies and apply similar policies for best of practice security. Of course, there's compliance issues. If you're, for example, Sarbanes-Oxley, HIPAA, Graham-Leach-Bliley, all these other types of things require compliance. Because we're putting your data into a data center that is SAS 70 Type 2 compliant, that means that within that data center we have to be able to document and see procedures. We have to be able to point and touch our data at any time. So there's all good things about having that centralized management data store containing your data with the people that are most qualified to guard and protect it. See where that's a key recurrence going on in there. Now, a couple other questions regarding what if Decon Technical Services goes out of business? Well, we give every client network documentation that clearly defines the contingency plan. The way that we host a lot, or the way that we provide a lot of the hosting for the cloud services means that you could hook up with another partner, and just they could take over the servicing of that. So it's all case by case, but we handle it. It's part of the provisioning of your new account is you get to see what it would take to switch to another provider if we went out of business. Do you have to purchase any new hardware to move to the cloud? Absolutely not. We're doing just the opposite. We're actually going to remove hardware from your office. So what do you want to look like? What do you want to look for when you're hiring a cloud integrator? A cloud integrator is just a fancy way of saying, here's an IT guy who knows how to put the pieces of the cloud together to fit best for your business. And that is exactly what we do here at Decon Technical Services. So what I want you to do is fill in the form below. Let us get in contact with you. I want to send you some information. I want to give you access to more of our free information that's available to subscribers only. And I would love to chat with you on the phone or meet with you over a lunch and tell you more about the cloud and how it can benefit your business.